This is Jeff, another one of the videos in the series about ministry missions, realities and fallacies. This short video, and I might make a longer version of it later while I'll dig down into specific biblical passages in more depth. This is a topic that I actually remember talking about on a vacation with a number of friends, of which one was a pastor, back in 10 years ago. That's already 10 years ago. We talked about, we were on vacation, several of us that had been married all the same period of time. We went on vacation together for kind of our 10-year reunion, kind of 10-year wedding anniversaries together, and we talked about these things. And one of them is the expectations of what a pastor or priest in charge, what is their role? Now, I think you have to distinguish culturally versus biblically. And you need to be able to separate what have we traditionally become accustomed to that a person is supposed to handle and do, versus what does the Bible talk about doing that. So it's very clear in Timothy and Titus what the role of an elder is and their criteria. It's very clear what the deacon is and the criteria. And an elder applies specifically to pastors, ordained ministers, and people in types of roles like church wardens, those levels, okay? And elders in churches, senior elders in churches, the denomination call them elders. Those roles are pretty clear. There are also in other chapters, go ahead and look in 1 Corinthians and other sources that talk about the gifts. But the gifts, some of those are teachers, some of the pastors. There are specific gifts that are that are outlined. Now, I'll do another video in more depth than that. This is just a short overview. The one key thing to look at is your denomination. How does a pastor or a priest in charge fit within the denomination and the structural levels, how it is? Now, there are those that are congregational led, that the local church and the local members, they decide on the person that's going to be coming. They are all the only decision makers, and it's self-funded, and those people will pay for the salary usually of that pastor. Okay. Now there are other types of denominations, and I'm talking Protestant. I'm not going to go into the Catholic ones here, Roman Catholic, but I'm talking the Protestant ones, where you'll have bishops and archdeacons, deacons, deans of areas, and then you have the local vicar or chaplain or whatever you want to call this role, priest in charge, where in some dioceses that will be the vicar will be actually employee of the diocese, and there are other dioceses where you'll find that the chaplain or priest in charge is not an employee of the diocese, but is actually an employee of the church association or the church as an association. Usually that can be the case as a non-profit type of church-specific association or religious association. But they're still under the diocese. They're going to have a number of impact, is still accountability to that type of level of hierarchy. So when you have issues of what is the person doing, what are they accountable for, and all that, first look at what the Bible says about what these types of roles do. Don't just think in our current customer satisfaction, today's framework of thinking, where everything is about return on investment and everything is about pure steward. Now it's just stewardship. Stewardship doesn't come into play, but when you're using that against the person, I've seen this going back many years in different contexts. But the key thing also to think about, and which I encourage you to think about, is in some types of denominations, the priest in charge is paid a stipend to perform ministerial activities. And those are defined, usually doing the service, it includes Holy Communion. There are certain types of services that are usually part standard of that role. In other types of denominations, they are paid a salary as an employee of the nonprofit church religious association. Sometimes you have both of them because of certain types of denominations in certain countries. But you need to really look at how does the sponsoring denomination look at the payment to the person we're doing the service, during the activities and the tasks? And are there certain defined roles, or you need to deal with expectation management of people that may be in the church that are expecting more from the person that is being doing these ministry activities or being accountable for them, that they're paying through certain types of ways. This needs to be carefully looked at, and never assume that it works just in the denomination that you were dealing with, that it works in the same way as it happens in other denominations. I've learned to be very careful and study them separately and how they overlap and how they don't. Because people will usually, if they're especially coming from different backgrounds, they will be interpreting a situation where they're at, but from a framework of thinking for where they come from, which may be different in the way that it is handled from an employee and employer type of view for the local priest in charge or pastor. And look at that very carefully, study that. Do not assume that it's always going to be the same. We're going from one church to another, or especially denomination to another. And be careful in judging people in how they perform their tasks. Take the filter off and go look at what may be the differences. That will usually deal with, I'd say, 30 to 50% of the issues and struggles where people have in trying to figure out what their local minister is doing with her or his time and what they're accountable for. And if there's cases, start from the beginning and write down what they're accountable for. Work it out together, do that. But these are job descriptions, accountability evaluations. Yes, you can have evaluations, types of performance evaluations for the year and ongoing. There's nothing wrong with that, just as long as all parties are okay with starting with that. It's good to start that way than to implement it afterwards when there become problems begin. That usually doesn't go over very well. So it's a very good thing to know what one's accountable for and to do, and what they're being paid to do, under what type of payment as well. And for everyone to understand that before they bring up issues and problems and start escalating them into different situations. Hope that helps to at least demystify a few points on those questions about the expectations of what a pastor, priest in charge, and the role should be. Maybe I'll do another video, a longer one, on specific passages and really go into do some deeper dives into that. Have a good day.